Morning and welcome to Harrah's Hoosier Park. I know this is going to be our first edition of Breakfast at the Hop. Jake Ryan, and we're thrilled to be joined by Emily Gaskin. I know always our favorite time of the year. Excited to do this again with a little different look from the loudest place on earth here in the Hoosier Park paddock, but nonetheless ready to go for our first baby race of the year.
We are. And like you said, a little different look this year, but I want to give a shout out to our AV crew. They always appease our crazy ideas. It was supposed to be a little rainy. We also wanted an opportunity to talk to some of our drivers and trainers, and what better way than to get right back here in the action. So, as Jacob said, it's a little bit louder. It's a little different look, and we might have some random cameo appearances popping through the screen, but always good to be back here. And of course, it's a wonderful time of year, as you said, a lot of excitement. And I know a lot of horsemen are looking forward to the next few weeks as we look towards baby races.
Yeah, and I know cool for us because we get to actually watch these horses as they go out on track. We've got the first 2-year-olds stepping on track here for the 5th right now, but we always talk about kind of the work and effort it takes to get to this point of the year, Emily. This has been about 6-8 months worth of work after they were all bought last October. A lot of them here in Indiana at that Midwest Standardbred horse sale, and now 8 months later, you're going to finally figure out what you bought.
Yeah, I think my dad always says it's the make or break heartbreak season. As you said, everyone goes down, and or some people breed their horses, but you got a lottery ticket, and now is the time when you find out if it's worth anything or not. So a lot of excitement, sometimes some disappointment, as you said, but as you said, a lot of hard work goes into this, and it's been months and months of preparation, and now the gloves come off, and you kind of see what you have. And as you said, it's a very exciting time. It's also a very interesting time too, Jacob, and I think that's what we enjoy so much is watching these horses progress. You see how much they learn from each week. I know in a few weeks we'll be sitting here, and some of these horses will have 2 and 3 qualifiers, and just watching the progression and how quickly they pick it up and kind of hone in on their trade is simply remarkable. So it's something really exciting, and as I said, a very exciting time of year.
Yeah, it is going to take a couple qualifiers. I know we start 2-year-old action. We actually host fair action, the first round of fair action. When we go to 5 days a week, that's 2 weeks from now. So then we start really incorporating the 2-year-olds into the festivities here at Hoosier Park. And then we get into Sire Stakes action in July for the 2-year-old 6 legs, and then the final for Hoosier Champions. So it felt like it took a long time to get here, but still a lot of season ahead for 2-year-olds. It's going to take a couple qualifiers to get them ready, and still everything's out in front of us.
Yeah, everything's out in front of us, as you said, and we see some new faces. Team Melander is qualifying at Hoosier Park. He, of course, no stranger to success here at Hoosier Park, but qualifying a number of horses. And as you said, not only a lot of stake season left here in the state of Indiana, but a lot of stake season just left ahead of us. It's really kind of as you said, the meat and potatoes. I know July 4th weekend is always a big weekend here, and it seems like kind of the unofficial kickoff for the 2-year-olds. So a lot of stake season, a lot of money left on the table, and a lot of excitement as well as we look forward to. And, we oftentimes talk about it. It's June. It's a long way till October when the big money's on the line. Of course, those $250,000 Indiana Sire Stakes Super Finals. And so a lot of work to do for these guys. But as we said, a lot of excitement around the way as well.
I'm glad you mentioned Team Melander. The way this is going to work out, we've got 3 baby races on the pace and 3 on the trot, but a couple first crop stallions. I know a lot of folks are really excited about Temporal Hanover, bringing that Walner blood into the state of Indiana. And then we've also got Rebuff, the Kentucky Futurity champion from a couple of years ago. So this is going to be our first chance to kind of lay eyes on their crops.
Yeah, exactly, as you said. And, we, as you said, saw them at the sale, and they've been highly touted, and going to be interesting to see what we see from those crops. And we mix a few in there as well. I know Gulf Shores standing in Minnesota. It's his first crop as well. So see a little bit of everything. And, it's not Indiana if we don't throw a couple of Rockin' Images and a couple of Swan Pearls in there as well. So nice group set to go postward. And we're going to be doing this each Saturday in June. And hopefully, as we said, we'll be able to talk to some drivers and trainers and kind of get their thoughts as well.
Yeah, and I know this 5th race out on the track, so we can actually get to the action out there and get a look at this field for the first baby race of the year as we kind of work our way down this field. Emily, I know we're going to kick things off with a daughter of J.K. Enavanera, Breezy Knoll. Brandon Bates is going to be in the bike here for trainer Jackie Ricks. This is a 5th foal from a Western Ideal mare. Has produced a little bit here. We've got this one, a half sister to Cool Kate, made just shy of $40,000. Took a mark of 53 and 4, so a $10,000 yearling. That's going to start right next door to a $20,000 yearling. Another daughter of J.K. Enavanera. Love the family on this one from the Irv Miller barn. 6 foal from a dam that made $84,000, but this one a half Sister to the likes of Coles on the Beach, who made just shy of 200,000. Captain Star, 126,000. Also In a Minute, who took a mark of 51 last year at age 2. The 3 Tell You Later. This one's a half sister to the likes of Martha Bigrid from the James Yoder Barn that made $40,000. Paycheck made $70,000. Then you also have Ponda Era from Post 4 for Team Seekman. Another daughter of J.K. and Venera. Going to say that a lot. This one, the 6-foal from a former Sire Stakes champion, Mystical Treasure. She has 78-1 and upset a group that included Nora Rockwell and Can't Touch Her. That was a great group. She made just shy of 300,000. And then the 5, that's Lock Lusa from that first crop of Gulf Shores. This one, a colt from a dam that took a mark of 51-1. First foal from that mare, she made 160,000.
Yeah, and as you see, the starter Todd is giving these horses plenty of time to get used to the gate. Sometimes, maybe not often, but sometimes it is their first time seeing it. So taking plenty of time to let them get used to them. And of course, the drivers, ultra professionals out there, kind of easing them into it as we get ready to kick off the first 2-year-old event of the season here at Harrah's Hoosier Park. And as you said, we got a nice mix of horses that were bought at the yearling sale, some homebreds, and a nice mix set to go postward. We'll send it up to Michael Chamberlain, who is going to call the 2-year-old events for us.
Thank you, Emily. And we have the field of 5 in the stretch for the first qualifier of the season for the 2-year-olds here at Harrah's Hoosier Park. And here they come. They are off. And moving up for the lead, it's Ponda Era. Ponda Era is out for the advantage, and We Have to Talk is next second. Then after Lock Lusa moving up to take third. Breezy Knoll. The early trailer is Tell You Later. So they're moving on to the first turn. And moving with the lead, that's Ponda Era. Ponda Era in front, has it just over a length here as they come to the quarter, going by there in 31 1/5. Second is We Have to Talk, and then a further 2 lengths back to Lock Lusa. Now there's 6 off to the other 2, and those are Breezy Knoll, and the trailer again is Tell You Later. Moving up the backstretch, and now moving to the outside, here comes We Have to Talk. We Have to Talk being sent up and taking the lead. Back to second is Ponda Era, as they now are at the half-mile pole, passing there in 1 1/5, a 29-second second quarter. So the pace did pick up there just a bit. Moving to the turn, and the leader is We Have to Talk. We Have to Talk has it a length over Ponda Era. Then Lock Lusa is third. 4 lengths back to Breezy Knoll, and Tell You Later is fifth, trying to move through at the inside. As they come to the top of the stretch, it's We Have to Talk leading the way. We Have to Talk in front, 3/4 time, 1:30. We Have to Talk in front. Ponda Era is second, then Lock Lusa. On the far outside, Breezy Knoll, almost out in the center of the racetrack, but moving forwardly, and then Tell You Later. Still leading the way, We Have to Talk. Ponda Era is about 2 lengths back, and then moving up into third, Breezy Knoll. We Have to Talk. Ponda Era with one last try, but it is We Have to Talk to win this one. Second was Ponda Era, then Breezy Knoll, followed by Lock Lusa and Tell You Later, 1:58-2.
Pretty professional mile there by a couple of them, Emily. They're 1:58-2. We Have to Talk. Atlee Bender going to brush this one to the top up the backstretch and then fend off Ponda Era, who also made a good couple moves there. 4-team Seekman, left hard off the gate, got the lead, and then came back to life once We Have to Talk cleared him there in the stretch. So those two really stand out here in the first qualifier.
They did. A nice effort there. 158-2. Back half and 58-2. So as you said, We Have to Talk looking very professional, but as you said, I love to see that late surge from Ponda Era. And just as we talked about, Jacob, there were a few horses there that were maybe a little hesitant. She looked like a professional from the word go, Ponda Era, that is. But Breezy Knoll made a nice little effort there late, a nice little late surge. Looked like she was maybe a little hesitant. Trace Teacher kind of easing her around that last turn, but she made a nice little surge. And that's one of those that I think will continue to get better. Ponda Era and We Have to Talk looking like professionals from the word go, but a few of these others I think with a few more qualifiers under their belt, they'll be right there with them.
Yeah, no surprise. The three we talked about, three JK Edelman era fillies.
Yes.
He just seems to have that market cornered. But I know right now we're in the midst of a break. We're going to take a break for the qualifiers. We're going to try to grab an interview. We'll get that lined up, and then Emily and I will be right back as we tee up the second half of the baby races here on a Saturday at Hoosier.
It is getting hot fast. We're live.
We're live. We're good. Okay. All right. We are back here with Breakfast with the Babies. And as promised, we are back here in the heat of the action, standing by with our leading driver, Trace Tetrick, which I've done many times, not all that often, and never done it during qualifiers. But nevertheless, he's got a qualifier off. So we're going to grab him and ask him a few questions. Trace, an exciting time of year, obviously for you and for trainers and owners alike. But talk to us a little bit about what this time of year means for you.
I mean, these are when dreams come true, and sometimes, maybe the longevity is not as quick as you want it to be, but like days like today is, is the culmination everybody's been working for to see what they can do the first time out and just kind of see where everybody's at.
And see where everybody's at, like you said. Talk to us a little bit about how you approach, qualifier, maybe for the first time, what it looks like out there for you and, how you talk with the trainers and really what it looks like for you from a driver's standpoint approaching a first-time qualifier.
For me, I'm just looking for good manners, horses that are good gated, willing, has a good attitude, and shows a little bit of speed at some point in the mile. First time out, sometimes they're green, they've never been here before, it's just all new to them. Ones that have a really good attitude and they want to go forward late. It just all on the demeanor for me, because as long as they show a little bit of spark at some point, you got a pretty good grasp of what they can do and where they'll be at.
And I know a lot of times, equipment changes and things like that. You talk about, wanting to see a little bit of spark and things like that. That's something that I know you're pretty hands-on with the trainers. And, you might have to make a few tweaks here early in those first qualifiers, changing the bridles and things like that around to kind of maybe either wake a horse up or quiet it down a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about how important that is these early stages.
Usually first qualifier is if they're way too lazy and just being green, or they're just too hot because they're way too excited. Those are changes you're making the first time out to settle one down. And usually the second to third time out is when you can get a really good grasp of it, because then their mind's working a little bit better and they're paying more attention. That's when you're kind of really tweaking the bridle per se. But there's small changes you'll make. Maybe the hobbles need to go in a hole. Maybe they need the head pulled a little sharper inside or outside. Just small things right off the bat. But like the first time out, you're just looking for just good manners, willing, because then you'll make your adjustments the second and third week to figure out where you want to be at.
Behind the gate is always interesting to me, first couple times, kind of talk us through that. Obviously a lot of times these horses have seen some sort of gate, some haven't. But talk to us a little bit about how you kind of get them up in there and get them interested and kind of going a mile.
Like for the most part, the breed is so much smarter than they were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The trickiest spot on the gate is the 4 and 5.
Really?
Yes, because there's a boogeyman in the back of the truck.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
The starter, because they've never seen anybody at that eye level to them when they're following them.
Okay.
But if they'll go with the 4 and the 5, right behind the bumper of the truck, then they're good the rest of the car.
Yeah.
As long as they'll go in those two little spots, then you don't have a problem on the 1, 2, 3 or the 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
So like, as long as they get by Todd, the starter, they're usually okay.
Yeah. No offense, Todd. Nothing personal.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. You talked about you wanted to see willingness and you want to see a horse go forward. Have there been horses that you sat behind maybe the first time and you're like, this horse is really something?
There's been a few that, they have that something, that it.
Yeah.
Where like they just go and their speed is just now, instant. Like if they can, pace an eighth in, 14 seconds right off the bat, and they they can carry it, and they seem like they just have a really big set of lungs on them. So when they do start to put, 3 quarters together, then when they have to put 4 quarters together, it shouldn't be that difficult for them.
Yeah. And kind of to the contrary, have you sat behind a horse that maybe the first time just absolutely, you said probably never again, and they really surprised you maybe the second and third time?
Yeah, but usually the ones that I say, hey, like, I'm probably not the guy for this one.
Yeah.
Like, they might not be at the level that we want them to be as a group,
right.
A collective. They might not be a top-tier sire stake horse. But the funny story I got, baby racing is, Jacob's old horse, his family's Freaky Feet Pete.
Yeah.
I remember the first time Larry brought him out, he was wild.
Yeah.
Like, super aggressive. Then the next week, that was at the qualifier. Then first pair mutual start, all we did was just change his bridle. Just put a set of cups on him and plugs, took the ear hood off, and it was like night and day. So at that point right there, his second time out, you knew he had something special.
Okay.
Just because his mind was so smart, he wanted to be better.
Okay.
And he wanted to figure out, I don't have to be aggressive the whole way.
Yeah.
I can relax and I'll let you make the decisions.
Okay.
And that's the main thing. You want them to be just, willing and not so much going, but let you make the calls.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And like you said, you talk about seeing a horse that wants to let you kind of drive them, and that's got to be a big key to you.
I mean, not every horse is going to win. He will not win his whole career on the front.
Right.
9 times out of 10, you'll never see a horse go undefeated on the hammer every week, because there's going to be other horses that are just going to outlead him.
Right.
Where he's going to either have to sit third and maybe move back, but you just want him willing enough to sit there, or let you make the call to sit fourth, come second over, or land third, wait till it settles, then move back to the front,
Yeah.
and just let their manners, quiet down a little bit.
Yeah, and you talk about Freaky Pete Pete and the likes and just the breed in Indiana, and you probably of all people have seen how much this breed has progressed. We were talking about first time sires, temporal Hanovers, rebuffs, but you've just seen the progression of the breed and maybe how much smarter and maybe how much faster they are.
And a lot of it is like just their gait, like Mark Jonathan's was a throwback, but they had a pretty good attitude. They just weren't really the best gated.
Yeah.
They tried hard, but they really could find their knee.
Yeah.
They would hit their knee pretty good. But there was a few really good ones. And at the time we started up, he was a good sire for the state.
Yeah.
And now there's just a little bit more money available, and the quality of stallions that have come in are just a little bit better. But also just you look at the babies and the stud horses from maybe Mark Jonathan per se, or a horse from the time, Electric Yankee maybe, to a stud of today. Just the way their body is made is totally different.
Yeah.
They're more refined and more slick, and just a little bit better put together.
And you talk about, kind of the breed, and we talk about everybody's so excited. And I think you're one of the most professional, if not the most professional, and the nicest guy. These guys, they bring these horses here. They're so excited about them. How do you say maybe this isn't the one, or maybe it isn't? How do you break their hearts gently? Like I said, you're one of the nicest guys. You're the most professional, but sometimes you got to be that guy that says, this just maybe isn't the horse.
Well, every horse is good for a place, and it just might not be. This might not be their place,
right?
Or it might not be their time, because every horses are like people. They mature at a different stage,
right?
So he might not hit his peak till he's 4.
Yeah.
He might not hit it till he's 8. And he might never reach his full maximum capacity. But there's horses that don't succeed here, but they're still a very usable horse, and just not at this venue. Maybe Cleveland or the Meadows, So there's always a place for 98% of them.
Yeah.
We'll say.
Yeah.
But it just might not be here. It just might not be their time yet. Just because they're not physically and mentally ready at this stage in their life.
And last question, I'll let you go because I know you got to get ready. We're getting ready for the 6th qualifier. A good baby trotter or good baby pacer? What if you had your choice, top of the line? Would you rather drive a good baby trotter or a good baby pacer?
I want to drive them both.
Okay.
Okay. Because my goal is to try to drive the best horses in the state every year, or really, really competitive horses, because that's how I make my money. Trying to drive the best ones. But they're both very enjoyable, so it doesn't matter to me, if trotter,
as long as they're fast and good,
as long as they're just good little horses.
That's right.
And the other thing about babies, you're trying to pick them out, the good ones, they always pass the eye test.
Yeah.
They always look like an athlete. That's the other thing.
Okay. I just saw one of Marcus Melander's just about ran me over. Past the eye test.
He was talking on the way out.
He was. Well, we want to thank Trace for taking the time. Of course, busy guy, but thank you for taking the time. We'll send it up to Michael Chamberlain for the call.
They are off. And from the outside, Wheelin' Cletus is moving right out for the lead. Skyway Elegant, Atlantic Ivy, and Well, I Didn't Know is last of the quartet as they make their way to the turn. And Wheelin' Cletus up top. Wheelin' Cletus with the lead as they move on to that turn now. Second is Skyway Elegant, then Atlantic Key, and fourth is Well, I Didn't Know. The first quarter was 31 2/5. They're moving on to the back stretch and moving with the lead, and stretching that lead out now to 2.5 is Wheelin' Cletus. Right behind that second, Skyway Elegant, then Atlantic Ivy, and 2.5 further to Well, I Didn't Know. They're midway up the back stretch. Wheelin' Cletus has had the lead from the start. Wheelin' Cletus in front as they come to the half-mile pole. Passing there in 1:01. Wheelin' Cletus has it just over a length. Next is Skyway Elegant, then Atlantic Ivy third, and Well, I Didn't Know is the trailer, and Wheelin' Cletus opens the lead. It's now out to 3. Second is Skyway Elegant, Atlantic Ivy, and still Well I Didn't Know as Wheelin' Cletus picking up the pace nicely here as they come to the top of the stretch. Wheelin' Cletus in front by 4. Skyway Elegant, Atlantic Ivy, and Well I Didn't Know. 3/4, 129 and 4. It's Wheelin' Cletus in front. Down on the pylons is Skyway Elegant, Atlantic Ivy trying to put in a belated bid, and Atlantic Ivy is closing in on Wheelin' Cletus. Wheelin' Cletus, Atlantic Ivy trying to get there to the outside. Wheelin' Cletus, Atlantic Ivy, and it is Wheelin' Cletus holding on to win just ahead over a hard charging Atlantic Ivy, then Skyway Elegant and Well I Didn't Know in 157 and 2.
Really good mile there, 157 and 2. Wheelin' Cletus and Atlantic Ivy, they're going to hit the wire together. I know Michael said it looked like Wheelin' Cletus held on by a nose. Really good miles, though, by both. Daryl Bontrager kind of turning Wheelin' Cletus loose there, going around the last turn. They both went a big last half, and Atlantic Ivy had a lot of ground to make up, and that son of Down by the Seaside, he made a ton of it up there. That was a big last quarter by him.
A big son of Down by the Seaside, as you said. $45,000 yearling purchase for Team Irv Miller. They are 2 for 2 in our baby qualifiers as far as our first 2 qualifiers of the season. Taken by Team, well, I guess Daryl Bontrager took that last one, but they are, Team Miller is having a good day so far, as I said, with that Down by the Seaside colt. Wanted to mention, though, Wheelin' Cletus, a luck be with you. What I love about Indiana, Trace Tetrick was talking about it, the breed has become so refined and so professional, but this is still a place that you can get a one-off, like a horse like Luck Be With You, and do well with it right here in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, I love what you're going to see this morning, too, a little bit later on. Once we start getting into the trotters, you're going to see some $5,000
Yes.
yearlings. You're going to see a couple $100,000 yearlings, and it's just they can all make it here.
That's
they
right.
all get different
Well,
paths here, but that's the thing.
That's what Trace said. There's a place for them all, and it may not be the sire stakes, but we've got a lot of great non-winners of one that our friend Joe Zambito, I'm sure, would be happy to fill with some of those. But yes, there is a place for all of them. And another nice effort there. 57 and 2. Again, a nice back half for that group. And like you said, love to see those horses coming down the lane. And like Trace mentioned, you want to see some ounce of go forward and some ounce of will and want to do. And that's what you saw there with a nice group of 2-year-olds.
I love that family, too, on the 3 Atlantic Ivy. I know they've taken this blood over to Ohio. This is the first foal from Ivana Ivy, but she comes from that great family. The second dam on this one, that's Iva Miracle. Iva Miracle is one of the great producers in the state of Indiana for a long time. She produced It's a Miracle, made just shy of $500,000. Intrepid Ivy, who made $400,000. I know I'm a little biased. We had a good one from that family, too. Always a Miracle. That was the Sire 6 winner. So now that's the first foal from Ivana Ivy. She was a good mare, too. 160,000, made a 52 and 1 mark, and you breed that with Down by the Seaside, and that looks like a heck of a combination there.
Yeah, and again, as we talk about Indiana, and like they didn't breed in Indiana, but Cornerstone Stock Farm, the Well Maxine mare, third dam is Katie. So we're talking about horses that are racing here, and they got some pedigree behind them as well. So always enjoy that. I know you and I are kind of pedigree. I shouldn't say kind of, but just straight out pedigree nerds. But nevertheless, always enjoy that this time of year.
Yeah, no, we just watched one go out as the 7th race. They're getting ready to go. I think maybe the most intrigue I have on one all day here is number 1 in the 7th qualifier. That's Country Legacy. This is a daughter of Captain Midnight, but more importantly, this is the second foal out of the 2018 Horse of the Year, Sharton, the fastest mare of all time. 146 and 4. She made $2.5 million. Just took North America by storm when she shipped up here, and now we get to see the second foal. I know the first foal did okay as well. I think that was maybe a Captain Treacherous, but now you come back to Captain Midnight here in Indiana, and boy, watching her go by us, Emily, she does look the part as she goes out to the track.
She certainly does. Like you said, I saw her going out on the track, and you talk about these young babies, right? And Trace mentioned it too. Some of them need time to mature. Some of them are good. Are early and ready to go, and like you said, this one, Country Legacy, looks like she's almost a 3-year-old there. She looked well developed, and as you said, I got to give a shout out to our friends there, Ole Yoder and the Country team. They do just a phenomenal job. They've got an incredible band of brood mares, and Country Lane. They just do an incredible job.
Yeah, they were posting like a Facebook reel yesterday I was looking at, and it's just
Yeah,
three mares.
Phaetosive and
Captain Cowgirl, Lion Sentinel. Like, that's a pretty good trio to have out in the field together.
And as you said, Sharton here, very much looking forward to watching this one. Of course, Jeff Qualifier reached in and grabbed this one for $35,000. So you talked about her. The two, though, you talk about how pretty the two is. The two was pretty too. He's a gray son of Rock and Image out of a mare Mama's Little Beach. This is a Some Beach Somewhere mare, a $50,000 yearling purchase for Team Miller, Irv Miller, that is. And this is the second foal from the dam, as I said, a Some Beach Somewhere. The second dam made $250,000. It's got some Sire Stakes winners on the page there. But this is the second foal of that mare. And as I said, a $50,000 gray son of Rock and Image.
Yeah, and good news on a morning like this. You're going to look the cleanest when you come off the racetrack, because it's just going to blend right in. Takes me back to my days as a groom when you're just trying to wash that gray off, and it just keeps coming back out here on the track. But excited to see this one. And then right next to that one, you have the 3, the Steel Cage. This is another one from that first crop of Gulf Shores from a betting line mare that made $90,000 bet on the Bay. But this the first foal from that mare. And again, excited to see the Gulf Shores. He's a very nice horse out on the racetrack. And I know standing in Minnesota, but from Cornerstone Stock Farms, this one going to be dual eligible to Kentucky as well.
Yeah, and looking forward to watching them, as you said, out of a betting line. So I like the the variety that we're seeing here and the outcross that he is bringing. There's another great one going out, Jacob, but we're going to talk about the 4. That's LA Captain Morgan. And as we talk about Indiana, you got to talk about this family, Indiana Sire Stakes champions all over the page. This out of the mare Sapphire Martini, who was an Indiana Sire Stakes winner herself. She had Dreamwork mare. It's been a minute since I've seen the name Dreamwork, but this one, a $4,000 bargain. I guess we'll see if it's a bargain and maybe in a few starts. But as I said, Indiana Sire Stakes champs all over the page here for this 2-year-old son of Captain Midnight. The second dam, the likes of Radar Contact, Always About Katie, Topville Cadillac. We were talking about it, Jacob. I believe Indiana has a horse Hall of Fame. Topville Cyberwave should be a candidate for that. She's produced the likes of Radar Contact, Always About Katie, Topville Cadillac, and they have since gone on to produce Indiana Sire Stakes champions themselves. So quite the pedigree here for LA Captain Morgan. Again, it's your quote by Captain Midnight, who I know was moderately received and maybe not all that well received at the sales, as this one was a $4,000 yearling purchase. But like we talked about, we just saw Luck Be With You. Indiana is the place for these sires to still prove that they can get it done.
I think in these first couple crops, I think Captain Midnight's going to have one freak out there. I really believe that. I don't think any of them have really struggled with speed. I think sometimes they struggle with what's between the ears a little bit, putting it all together.
And I like that the Some Beach Somewhere line comes to Indiana there with Captain Midnight and Captain Treacherous, of course. And so, like I said, I like the fresh blood and the outcross that we've got there. But as you said, not out of the question for him to produce a good one, but we will still wait and see.
Then on the outside, we've got a Michigan bred here, another roan, as you said. This one, another one from the Daryl Bontrager barn. Daryl, of course, no stranger to success with good young horses here in Indiana. The man behind Gruesome Twosome, the Sire Stakes champion, that Grand Circuit winner as well. And now he's stepping up here with the Pacer, $2,200 yearling buy up in Michigan. But this one, the third full from a dam that made $47,000, took a mark of 155 and 2, a gun that won the West mare, May West. So some different breeding here. Can't say I'm too familiar with Bondi Hanover, but this is going to be my first look at one from by that stallion, rather.
Yeah, as you said, and Out of Gun, the one in the West, a mare. That's another one that hadn't heard in a while. So always interesting too, Jacob. We were talking to Trace, and you and I were talking. I just wanted to reiterate it. I thought it was interesting. He said the 4 and the 5 spot are sometimes the toughest posts to draw with a young baby, and just something I wouldn't have thought of. And that, of course, because the starter and you're right there, kind of behind the action. You've got a couple to your outside, a couple to your inside, and so always kind of interesting to get a driver's perspective. And it was good to hear that from Trace.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we moved back here, to get some of those perspectives. I think that was a good example. You got Trace really going there on the mic. That's impressive to do there, but good on you as well. But
maybe he's just a little more talkative in the morning. He had a couple, thanks to Sandy, she probably gave him an extra cup of coffee, as you said. Pretty chatty, but no, and I think it kind of speaks to what we were talking about. It's an exciting time of year.
Yes.
And I think that kind of speaks, and you could see it. It was kind of portrayed through him too. He was equally as excited about this time of year as well. And it is warming up quite a bit.
It is. The sun's starting to come out after we had that rain early in the day. I know it's supposed to get really hot and humid and chance for rain pretty much every day from here on out. But yeah, it's going to be interesting too. And I like it that you did mention that too. I know everyone kind of has their different ways of gate schooling one before they come to the track. I know we've had a truck with a leader behind it, and that's usually how we've done it in the past. So you feel like they're pretty good going behind the gate, but everyone does it in a different way. And no matter how you do it, you still can't fully prepare them for, being 5 deep out there, seeing the starting gate for the first time.
Right. And again, I just want to reiterate, I know Jeff Qualifier trained on the track, but the one here, Country Legacy, just looks like a professional out there. As you said, you can't really prepare them, and you got 5 or 6 that you're outside, but she looks like she's been doing this maybe her whole life.
And I think all eyes going to be on that one. Michael Chamberlain again. We've got the second full from the 2018 Horse of the Year, Sharton Country Legacy, starting on the inside in this field of 5 as they move into the stretch.
And Jacob, they are now in the stretch, as you said. Jordan Ross will drive the 4 LA Captain Morgan here, and here they come. They are off. At the inside, Country Legacy does start well. Then Mr. Bear, LA Captain Morgan, is next third with the Steel Cage. And then Silver Crusader is the early trailer. So they're moving to the turn, and Country Legacy taking them along nicely with Mr. Bear right behind that in second. Then racing third comes LA Captain Morgan with the Steel Cage and the trailer Silver Crusader with that opening quarter, 31-3. On to the back stretch, and Country Legacy in front just over a length to Mr. Bear. Then it's a length and a half off to LA Captain Morgan. 2 more back to the Steel Cage, and Silver Crusader trails the field as the pace does seem to be picking up a little bit here. Country Legacy in front with Mr. Bear, 2.5 back to LA Captain Morgan, another 2 to the Steel Cage, and 4 further to Silver Crusader. 1:01.3 for the opening half. That second quarter was 30 seconds. And Country Legacy is in front, has been in front all the way. Mr. Bear is next, second, followed by LA Captain Morgan. Now 2.5 back to the Steel Cage, and Silver Crusader is still last of the 5 as they come to the top of the stretch. Country Legacy is in front as they come off the turn. 3 quarters, 1:31.3. Another 30-second quarter for the third quarter. It's Country Legacy in front. Then Mr. Bear. LA Captain Morgan trying to move up to the outside. Here comes Mr. Bear. Mr. Bear up to take the lead. Country Legacy at the inside is second. And then LA Captain Morgan. But it is Mr. Bear. And Mr. Bear is going to win here by about 3. Country Legacy second. LA Captain Morgan, then Silver Crusader, and the Steel Cage in 1:58.2.
And as often the case here this time of year, the Irv Miller Farm came ready for the first baby races, and Mr. Bear, the gray, looks the part as he explodes out of the pocket. Emily, they were home 26-4 on the clock. This is going to be probably 26-3, 26-2 for Mr. Bear. They did pretty easy. Country Legacy, I still thought a good effort cutting the mile there. Maybe a little lonely on the lead, as you might expect, but Mr. Bear, ultra impressive.
Yeah, and my friend Laura out of Michigan, she owned Goodness Gracious. She likes the gray horses, and it looks like she's got herself another nice gray colt here. 58-2. Again, a nice back half. And as you said, looked tons the best, or looked tons professional there. Looked like he had been doing it. Knew exactly what he was supposed to do. Want to give a shout out to LA Captain Morgan. Looked like he had some pace late in the lane. I know T-Trick also trains here, so he's another one that's very familiar with the surroundings and the surface. And he looked like with another qualifier under his belt, he would be ready to take a big step forward there. So a nice group. Country Legacy looked like a professional on the front. Maybe just needs a start or two to get some legs underneath her. But looked like she did everything she was supposed to. Maybe just got a little tired on the end of it.
Yeah, I thought so. Maybe just a little lonely. I know Trace was just kind of keeping her to task there on the front end for much of that mile. And that's going to be something new for a lot of these horses. You're not going kind of full speed yet, that they're going to be going in a month or two. So you're going a little slower. You're cutting the mile, have nothing to look at out in front of you. I know that's usually not my favorite spot to see a 2-year-old there first time out there, but someone's got to cut the mile, and it was Country Legacy this time.
Yeah, exactly, as you said. And it'll be interesting to see I know they don't talk about trips, drivers don't talk about trips and stuff, but I have to believe Marcus Miller, that was pretty textbook of what you'd want to get for a young colt just getting started. A nice 2-hole trip, come out late in the lane and get the job done.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, too, probably when they come back next week, knowing that they're probably going to want to get a second qualifier. Maybe they try the front end. That's something I love to see, especially when you're handicapping early season 2-year-old. If they've seen a little bit of everything, if they raced off the helmet and did well from there, and then they go to the front end and they do well there, when you see that versatility, that's something I love early on in 2-year-old year, especially, like I said, when we're going to be wagering 2-year-olds here in a little bit. You just want to see that versatility, and oftentimes it's not always the fastest 2-year-old early in the meet. It's the most professional 2-year-old that gets wins.
That's exactly right. And, Trace mentioned something about that as well, is that you're talking about Freaky VP. The first time, very, very aggressive, but he was a smart horse. And when you made the adjustments, he kind of figured it out himself. And I think that's a lot of what you see. They're maybe not the fastest horse early, but they want to be a good horse, and they want to do things the right way and want to learn and get better. And I think that's where you see these horses kind of progress throughout the season. And like you said, that's what's always fun to me is, finding those horses that maybe didn't go gate to wire, didn't knock anybody's socks off the first couple qualifiers, but did everything right and took another step forward the next week. And that's what I love about baby handicapping, 2-year-old season handicapping is you can do that. And you can oftentimes find some prices and find some good horses to hedge on there.
Yeah, and you see it all the time. I know I'm probably the king of this, where you see a horse come out in July and they just blow your socks off, and you think, my gosh, this horse is
you're
never
on the board. You're on their bandwagon, right?
Already on their bandwagon, and it's just they were better early, and they kind of get caught up too. And you see the horses that get better and better. Whoop is a really good example of that from the Roger Welch barn, and I hope we get to talk to him over the course of the series at some point, because she was a little slow starting last year, showed some ability, but she struggled around the last turn, and then once she took hold, she was just pretty much unbeatable the second half of the year last year.
Yeah, really figured it out, as you said. And we are looking forward to having the opportunity to talk to some drivers and trainers and throughout the course of this series, something that I know we all enjoy, talking about how these trainers bring these horses along. You talked about gate schooling. Some trainers do a lot of gate schooling prior to bringing them to the races. Some do none. So I think that's always interesting as we get ready for the 8th race, Jacob. And we were talking about Team Melander, and just watched one of theirs go out that, of course, looks beautiful. I looked down at the $250,000 son of Walner, so I would hope he looks the part.
Yeah, and a good pedigree on this one, too. Like you said, a daughter of Walner. This is a third foal from a dam that produced the likes of You Got It Kemp, who made over $285,000. So certainly looked great out on the racetrack. And now we are going to turn our attention to the trotters. And I think it's interesting. You got Marcus Belander in here sending out a Walner, but you also got that first crop of Temporal Hanover here to the inside. He, of course, trained Temporal Hanover, a very, very good one. But Verity going to be the very first Temporal Hanover we see out on the racetrack.
I'd love to see it out of a Father Patrick mare. And again, we talk about the Indiana breed. Love to see some complexity there and some different looking horses come on the trotting side. Swan for All has been so dominant for so long, but as you said, getting ready to get our first look at a Temporal Hanover. The 2 is Twister Sister. We talk about taking a look at horses on the track. Of course, we know this family on the track. This one third foal out of a sister to the great May Baby, out of a Guccio mare. Just when you thought you might not see any more Guccios, we got one here. This is a You Know You Do filly, a homebred daughter of You Know You Do out of Wheelie on the Edge. Of course, James Yoder trains and drives. He no stranger to success with this family. And as I said, it's a homebred daughter of You Know You Do for Emerald Acres out of Upland, Indiana.
I think You Know You Do flies under the radar here in the state of Indiana. I've been a big fan of what he's produced since he's come to the state. Obviously, Operator's a good example of that in the open trot at week in, week out. So You Know You Do. I like this one. I know I talked to Jay Hoxler, who trains Operator. He's pretty close with James Yoder, so they're pretty high on this one coming into this morning. So I just wanted to keep an eye on, and obviously they keep going back to that May Baby well, and why wouldn't you with how that family's produced here. So we'll see. And then the 4, we talk about the first crop of Temporal Hanover. We also have the first crop of Rebuff. I'm excited for this group. I love the Rebuffs at the yearling sale. Loved their videos last year. Loved him out on the racetrack, of course, the Kentucky Futurity winner from a few years ago. And this one, Topville Beauty from the Leroy Eicher barn. I love this mare, too, Brienne of Tarth. She was a half-sister to Cadabra, and she's been a very good producer here in the state of Indiana. She's produced Scorecard Dan, who's made over $250,000, Also, Fancy Schmancy from the Jared Finn barn that made $83,000 and was a Sire Stakes consolation winner. So excited to see Top Bill Beauty from Post 4.
Yeah, as you said, first crop of rebuff. I know from what I've heard, people seem to really like them. They seem to be really willing. So looking forward to watching this young filly. The 5 is Blue Ranger, another from Team Melander, but this one an Ohio daughter, $210,000 yearling from the Spring Haven farm, Bender, Sweden. It's out of a tactical landing mare. And Marcus Melander and Marcus Miller in the bike.
Yeah, and this one a full sister to that Ohio superstar Big Ranger, who's been on an absolute tear. Just set that Scioto Downs track record, 151-2, made over $450,000. I know they've got maybe Hamiltonian hopes as they sent him to the Annette Lorenzen barn, but this one I'm excited to see. Watched her go by us, very nicely put together, daughter of In Range, and going to try her hand at the big track for her first qualifier.
Yeah, as you said, high hopes for Big Ranger. I know he said just set a track record over there at Scioto, so looking forward to watching this one. So a nice group set to go post road, as you said. I just want to reiterate, we're watching the first crop of Temporal Hanover and Rebuff. So that'll be the 1 and the 4. Surprisingly enough, no Swan for all. So I know we'll get into that a little later. The next race, we've got a few Swan for alls in there, and so they are mixed. But he has been long dominant in the state of Indiana. So interesting to see some new blood come to the state with the likes of Temporal Hanover and Rebuff.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Swan Frall's kind of locked his place. I know his book was full again this year, and even with some of these new faces, he has been king, and until he's dethroned, he's going to stay king. But yeah, I know my dad's doing some work for Victory Hill Farm, working with their stallions. He knows Swan for all, but he really, really likes Rebuff. He said maybe not the biggest stallion, but he's just so good to work with, so intelligent.
Yeah.
He hopes that he passed that along to his offspring here because he's just so good to work with. It's good to have a stallion with a good head on his shoulders because they can be a little unruly, but certainly from what I've heard, Rebuff is a case of that.
Yeah, and as I said, there's a few. My dad has a few, and they all seem to be very willing. So, like Trace talked about a little bit ago, sometimes, they don't necessarily have to be the fastest. They just have to want to do it and want to be a good horse. So sometimes a good mindset goes a very long way. And as we talk about, first time baby races and the likes, you see these young trotters and the drivers, of course, just kind of nursing them up in there.
Yeah, and I think with the trotters, it's interesting too. With all the rain we've gotten early in the day, you're going to get a sloppy track. First try and trotters making their way to the track. Maybe not a dream scenario for a lot of these trainers, but it's something they're all going to have to see at some point. So you might as well throw them here on a sloppy track and get them to go fast. But I think obviously mission number one on the trot is just to keep them on stride, and that's you just kind of cross your fingers and probably pray at this point.
There is a scratch in this 8th qualifier this morning. Number 2, Twister Sister, is out, and Atlee Bender will drive A Tale of Kemp. Number 3, the field now turning into the stretch. First of our trotting qualifiers for the 2-year-olds here, and here they come. They are off. And a pretty even start. Moving at the inside, Verity, Top Bill Beauty, and on the outside, Blue Ranger. A Tale of Kemp is 4th of the foursome as they move to the turn, and the leader is Blue Ranger. Blue Ranger now moving up for Marcus Miller. There on the outside of Top Bill Beauty, Verity 3rd, and the trailer still A Tale of Kemp. As they move around the turn, it is Blue Ranger. Blue Ranger takes them to the quarter by there in 31-3. Blue Ranger in front. Next in second is Top Bill Beauty. Then Verity is 3rd, and it's a length and a half to A Tale of Kemp as they move up the back stretch. Still there, Blue Ranger. Blue Ranger in front of Top Bill Beauty. Verity is 3rd, and the 4th one, A Tale of Kemp. They're at the midway point of the back stretch and approaching the half-mile pole now with Blue Ranger. Blue Ranger in front. Blue Ranger has it just a length as they now arrive at the half in 1:04. It is Blue Ranger leading the way. Topville Beauty, then Verity, a tale of Kemp, with the quartet moving on to the second turn. Blue Ranger took the lead early on here, still holding on to it nicely. Topville Beauty, Verity is third with a tale of Kemp. This has been the order. They are moving to the top of the stretch, and still Blue Ranger showing the way as they come to three quarters. Blue Ranger by three quarters in 1:36. So that was a 32-second third quarter. Now Topville Beauty moves to the outside and goes off stride. Topville Beauty went on a break as they moved to the final eighth of a mile. Leading the way is Blue Ranger. It's Blue Ranger. That lead is now 5 as a result of the break. Verity and a tale of Kemp, but it will be Blue Ranger to take them all the way. And Blue Ranger wins here in a time of 2:04 and 2. Verity, a tale of Kemp, and then Topville Beauty was last following that break.
2:04 and 2 for Blue Ranger, 2-year-old by In Range. Again, the sister to Big Ranger. 2:04 and 2, maybe nothing to write home about, but a nice back half there. They got to the half in 1:04. So as we talked about, a nice leisurely stroll, but they won a nice back half there.
Yeah, home in 28 and 2, and I think maybe that sprint for home is what got the better there of the 4 Topville
right.
Beauty, because I really liked her in the pocket. Love how she covers ground. She's one I'm going to kind of circle to look at a little bit later on from this Leroy Eicher barn, because it looked like she was really gearing up to maybe move right alongside, maybe by Blue Ranger in the stretch, and unfortunately just shifting gears maybe a little too quick there. Topville Beauty ends up jumping it off there at the top of the lane.
Yeah, as you said, and Atlee Bender driving the A Tale of Kemp. Like I said, it's our first Breakfast of the Babies. We promise to be more on our game next week, but the 2 was Scratch, Twister Sister, and then Atlee Bender on the 3, A Tale of Kemp.
I also thought the one Verity from that first crop of Temporal Hanover, she covered some nice ground there in the stretch when Jared Finn had her wound up and they started to roll a little bit. So good to see the first crop from Temporal Hanover. Didn't look like maybe the biggest out on the racetrack, but again, loved how she covered ground, as you might expect from a Father Patrick mare, just kind of put her head down and went to work. So I thought good things from both the Temporal Hanover and the Rebuff. I know the Rebuff jumped it off there in the lane, but I think otherwise it's going to be a really strong mile.
Just a few minutes to the next qualifier here at Harrah's Hoosier Park, and have the pleasure to be joined alongside trainer Irv Miller. And Irv, I know it's a very busy time of year for you, busy day, so I won't keep you long. But talk to us a little bit about what this time of year means for you. I know some trainers call it heartbreak season, but it's got to be pretty exciting too.
Yeah, it's the best time of year because you see what's coming with the horses. You can train these all you want and everything, but if you don't get them out there and put them behind the gate, you really don't know what you have. We have a pretty good idea because I have a lot of babies and I only qualified 4 today. They're the ones that I thought were just extra ready and I didn't think we could hurt them by going ahead and qualifying early.
You said you had a lot of babies. How many 2-year-olds are you training this year?
We probably start with about 55 or 60.
Okay,
So,
55 or 60. And how many times do you bring them over here to train before you put them in to qualify? What does it look like when your horses are in to qualify? How many times have they been behind the gate? How many times have they been here? What does that look like for you?
the 4 that went today haven't been here. That was the first time
Okay.
they came, but they saw a gate in Florida. We put them behind the gate. They jogged behind the gate for 4 miles a couple different times. So they're pretty gate broke. And then we come up here and we brought 15 up the other day to just to train over the track and get them shipped. I think just shipping away from home is the big difference for them too.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about what you're looking for. Obviously, like you said, you kind of know what you have, but what are you really looking for? Maybe those first couple qualifiers.
Most of them, I tell the owners are the same. I would look for a good finish. I want a good finish in a horse.
Okay.
Seems like if they start with a good finish, they can go somewhere. If they don't have a good finish the first qualifier or two, they're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble. That's right. And again, kind of along those lines, how many qualifiers or how many tries? I know probably every horse is different, but by that maybe second qualifier, you really kind of.
It depends on where they fit to and what's going on. Like the ones that went today, it's so early that they can probably drop right in a 2-year-old and onwards. One when it fills and probably be okay. They'll be fine in there. But if I go 3 more weeks and their first starts in the sire stake, then I'm going to have a lot more go.
Yeah. And today we were talking about the temporal Hanovers, first crop, rebuffs. Talk to us a little bit about maybe what you've got. Do you have any temporal Hanovers?
I've qualified. I've got 5 or 6 temporals, and they train really nice. They're really nice training horses. We'll see how they race. And then rebuffs, we've only got 2, but they're both okay. The one filly qualified at Oak Grove the other day and 2-1. And the other colt trained up here a good mile, Hoosier on Thursday. So he's ready to go next week too.
And as far as, maybe the 2-year-old pacers, anything that you really stands out to you right now? I know it's pretty early in the season, but got anything that you really like from a sire standpoint?
The one that I qualified a while ago is probably one of my better pacing colts.
The gray colt.
Mr. Bear.
Yeah.
He's really been, from day one, he's been an exceptional horse.
Wonderful. I know Laura, she likes the gray horses. I saw her name on there.
Yeah.
So love to see her have a good gray horse. Of course, I know you got a few a little later, so we'll let you go, but thank you for taking the time.
All right. Thanks.
To the 9th race, we're returned with Jacob here, and I want to thank Irv again for taking the time. I know he's a busy guy. 55 2-year-olds, he said, and that's enough to. He had a hat on, so I didn't see how much gray hair he had, but I would have to think that would give you some gray hair.
I can only imagine. I've owned one each year for like the last couple of years, and that about drove me nuts. Managing 55 of them, that's probably why he's on the Hall of Fame ballot, because he's done incredibly well for a long, long time.
The 9th race coming up, Jacob, we've got a nice field of young trotters. As we talked about, Swan for All. It's not an Indiana qualifier without a Swan for All. That's going to be the one for Vern Fisher. But we've also got a Walner in here, $160,000 Walner for Team Melander out of course, that great family, That's All Money, the likes of Snow White.
Yeah, and that is going to be Marcus's choice of the 2 Melander trainees. Trace Teacher going to pick up the other one, the 4 End Result. This is a Muscle Hill colt out of a credit winner mare. She's produced the likes of Capstone, who made over $250,000. And the second dam on this one, Ultimate Cameron, she made $800,000. The dam also a half sister to the likes of Asteroid, who's made just shy of $600,000. So good one there. And you talk about the Swan Fry. I love the family on this one too. The dam's a half sister to Dream On, who made nearly $1 million. So love the family there from the inside, as it looks like Allie picked up the drive there on the rail.
And as you said, you got a few temporals here in the 3 and the 5. We got a Muscle Hill Colts, a $105,000 yearling on the 4. So a nice group of trotters set postward in the 9th. We'll send it up to Michael Chamberlain.
And the field of 5 approaching the start. Here they come. They are up. And the first to show is End Result. End Result moving up for the early lead. He's Money is second, and then Like a Rock G. Racing fourth is Miss Chris. Coerced is to the outside and starting to move up from last, with them going on to the turn, and it's End Result. End Result's out in front here by 3 lengths. Next in second, that's He's Money as they hit the quarter, passing there in 30 and 2. So to the backstretch they go. End Result that lead 2 lengths. Then He's Money. It's now 4 back to the third spot, and Like a Rock G. Another 4 off to Miss Chris, and 2 behind that to Coerced, as this 5-sim is fairly well spread out as they move to the half-mile pole. End Result has the lead. End Result in front just a length as they now come to the half in 1 minute and 2/5. So a second quarter of 30 seconds. And as they move for the turn, End Result is the leader. He's Money right there second. And then racing third is Like a Rock G. About 6 back, the other 2, Miss Chris and Coerced, as the pace does seem to be picking up here moving around the turn. End Result is the leader. He's Money. And then Like a Rock G. They come to the top of the stretch. 3 quarters, 131 and 3. 31 and 1 for the third quarter. It's still End Result. End Result has been in front all the way. He's Money. And then Like a Rock G going off stride at the back of the field was Coerced. But End Result's in front. The lead is 4. He's Money. Like a Rock G. End Result is in front. Now 2.5 as He's Money tries to get closer. But End Result with a very nice debut here. End Result is the winner. Second was He's Money, then Like a Rock G, Miss Chris, and Coerced 2 minutes and 1/5.
Ultra impressive qualifier there by Pistol Range right down the road in 2 minutes and change. Looked a little revved up getting out of there, but Trace able to still rate him along pretty well. Gets about a 31-second breather going around the last turn, and then really straightens out, trots home here 28 and 3 at the end of it for a 2-minute mile.
Yeah, very nice effort there, as you said, 2-minute mile there for End Result. End Result there for Marcus Lander. Again, Muscle Hill Colt, $105,000 yearling, bred by Diamond Creek Farm.
You mentioned it's only up from here, right?
That's right.
Because I was looking at the entirely wrong program page.
Turning the page.
That'll put you in a bad spot here. But yeah, End Result looks the part out on the racetrack. Has a cool way of going too. Just kind of puts his head down out there, covers a ton of ground as you might expect from a Muscle Hill. And you talk about, I know it's one of Bob Hayden's favorite stats. Muscle Hill, been one of the top stallions in the sport for a long time. He's from the same crop as Swan for All. Swan for All's had a horse of the year. Muscle Hill's still yet to have a horse of the year.
No kidding. Wow, that's a great Bob Hayden stat, and I don't know how I missed it. I must be living under a rock, but that is a great stat nevertheless. But a nice group, as we said, going postward there in the 9th race as we get ready for the 10th race, which, as you already talked about, Pistol Range, and a nice group of young trotters.
Yeah, I was so eager to get to this one, just could not wait any longer. So yeah, once they get ready to step on track, Emily and I'll come right back. Maybe try to get another guest. If not, we'll be right back here to talk about this field for the 10th. And we have reached our final baby race of the morning here, qualifier number 10, Emily. And this one, I think, a really nice group of 5 to kind of wrap things up. As we can note that Marcus Miller was listed on 2. He's going to choose the 4 pistol range from the Marcus Melander barn. Jordan Ross going to pick up the drive on the 5 eruption zone, also from that Marcus Melander barn. That one a temporal Hanover on the far outside, but this is a really good group of 5 we got to finish things off.
And the 3 resource was going out on the track. Tracy Trick for trainer Jackie Ricks. This is a 3-year-old son, or excuse me, 3-year-old son. He's the number 3. He's a 2-year-old son of Swan for All out of a father Patrick Mayer. He's a $15,000 yearling purchase. Very good looking son of Swan for All. And we've been talking about these horses as far as their some mature early, some mature late. That's a good looking son. He looks mature. He looks well filled out. He looks kind of advanced for his age at this stage in the game. Look, like I said, he's 3. He looked 3 going out onto the track, but a nice son of Swan for All there for Jackie Ricks.
Yeah, the second dam on that one. One of my favorite race mares of all time, Passionate Glide, the Hambletonian Oaks champion from back in 2006. And she just made it look so easy out there on the racetrack, and love to see that connection here on the 3 resource. Also like the 1, I'm Tempted. This is another one from that Irv Miller barn. First crop of temporal Hanover out of that Tom Ridge mare, Cheetah Hall. She's produced Swiss Swanda, who was a very good one for the Irv Miller barn. Swiss Swanda, of course, a Sire Stakes winner, made over $450,000. They've also had Tease Fried from this mare that made $200,000. So this is a family that Irv and company keep going back to the well on, and I'm Tempted. Also look good going out the track.
Yeah, friends Anthony Lombardi, Andy Willinger, they're no stranger to success in that Indiana Sire Stakes program. And as you said, they've had success with this family. So went right back to the well here with I'm Tempted, a $42,000 yearling purchase. The final qualifier of the day. Jacob, it's been a great day. As we said, we're going to be back each and every Saturday in June, as I believe here, and we'll be talking about it. So looking forward to it. We hope folks will tune in and, of course, join us. Like I said, very exciting time. And hopefully we can talk our good friend, Mr. Tony Renz, into actually getting us some donuts. So it's actually breakfast with the babies. He came up a little short on us this Saturday, but hopefully we'll get better next Saturday. We'll have more donuts for next Saturday, and it can only go up from here.
It's only up from here. Again, thanks for tuning in. We'll let Michael Chamberlain close things out. Final qualifier on gate, final baby race of the morning here for Breakfast at the Hop.
The field for the 10th now turning into the stretch. Jordan Ross is driving Eruption Zone, number 5. And here they come. They are off. Resource in the center, Eruption Zone to the outside. Then at the inside, I'm Tempted. Pistol Range is 4th. Rosie's Swan for Speed is the early trailer. So as they go on to the turn, it's Eruption Zone. Eruption Zone is the leader. Racing in second is Resource. And those two now have a length and a half on I'm Tempted in the third spot after a quarter of 32 and 1. 2.5 further lengths behind is Pistol Range, and then 3 more to Rosie's Swan for Speed. On the back stretch, and picking up the pace a little, Eruption Zone now has it by 2 lengths. Resource is next, then I'm Tempted about 6 back to the 4th position, which is Pistol Range, and Rosie's Swan for Speed another 3 lengths behind that. They're fairly spread out as they have a half mile remaining. The opening half came and went in 1:01 and 4. They're moving to the turn, and it is still Eruption Zone. Eruption Zone 2 lengths in front. Resource is second, followed by I'm Tempted, and then a gap of 7 back to Pistol Range, who just went off stride. Pistol Range went on a break. Rosie Swan for Speed is the trailer. So they're coming to the top of the stretch, and Eruption Zone has it by 3. Going off stride now, I'm Tempted. Into the stretch, the 3/4 time was 1:32 and 1. Eruption Zone went off stride. Eruption Zone off stride while on the lead, and that means Resource inherits the lead. Down on the inside, Eruption Zone trying to get back on stride, does so, and comes back onto the track. But Resource now is the leader with about 100 yards to go. It's Resource, 2 lengths in front of Eruption Zone, and Resource is the winner. Eruption Zone, and then a good distance back to Rosie's Swan for Speed, I'm Tempted, and Pistol Range, 202 and 1.